All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Blue Sky Show. I'm your host today, Dr. P, and today we have a guest whose expertise is incredibly timely and important. We call her Dr. Sugi. She is a licensed psychotherapist with over 25 years of experience helping people overcome trauma and to reclaim their lives. As cases of depression and suicides continues and rise globally, her insights into mental health and resilience are needed now more than ever. Dr. Sugi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. P.
So tell me, you've worked in mental health for decades across multiple countries, cultural contexts, and with recent increases in cases of depression and suicide, what trends are you seeing and how have you adapted your approach to address these growing concerns?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. It was there always, and but due to the COVID and people isolated more in their homes, and social interaction became a challenge for the people, and especially some cultures. Like, for example, I'm coming originally from Sri Lanka. I live in extended families and all. It was restricted due to all these things happening globally. Therefore, what's happening is people more and more in their themselves, and me, myself, and my family. These are the only interaction they have. As you know, the human nature is we want to have interaction once in a while, hug once in a while, have little discussion with people, all these things we needed. Therefore, I see lots of times the especially younger generation people, kids especially, they are no longer like go to school one part of in their lives. And my son is 11, I think 2 years, 3 years. He's very growing up time period, 9, 10, 11, and he was at home, and we are as parents, we tried ourselves to like interact, but it's very different. Therefore, the question I come back, and what is the trend I see across the board: isolation, boredom, especially social isolation, that can lead up to based on their coping skills, coping mechanism, and coping strategies. Some people has a good social support. Some people develop multiple coping skills. Some people don't have it. And those people going to be in a risk, especially the old, our senior generation, younger generation. Sometimes, frank with you, lots of people lost their jobs and it impacting in families. Therefore, it is youth impacted, seniors impacted across the board. I think no matter what capacity you are in, it impacted in people in multiple ways. I hope
Yeah.
it's a long answer. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we have over 150 countries tuning in, including Love Bay Radio. We are on Facebook, YouTube. Everything's going live. So we're reaching an audience that needs to hear these answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give a real brief story about myself. So my youngest daughter she was going into her freshman year in high school, and my son was a senior in high school, and they were
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to bonding. And this is the first time since elementary school that they were able to go to the same school because it was 4 years apart,
Mm-hmm.
and it was COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so, where my daughter thought that she was going to be in class and walking on campus with her brother, and her brother thought that he was going to be able to hang out and introduce his little sister to his friends. They're side by side rooms on a Zoom call, talking and talking to their teachers, interacting. Doors closed, which means they're isolated, and this lasted for about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. But what I found was the trend was after they were able to go back to school. After they go to school and they come home, the first thing that they would do was go into their room and close their door. And this led to as you said, isolation, and isolation leads to depression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I
So,
agree.
so let me ask you, with addressing depression and therapy, depression has become one of the most common mental health issues, but it can manifest differently in everyone, as you know. How do you approach treatment for depression in a way that meets each individual's needs? And do you think certain aspects of society today are contributing to this rise in depression? You mentioned one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. When it comes to treatment, Dr. P, I always, there's no cookie cutter way in my treatment. I say, all right, you have depression, let's do this. I don't believe in. As you and me, the human nature, we all are unique people. Our upbringing is different. We are very unique, right? Same way I always see my every individual is very different way because their experience different and what they went through in their lives are different. Therefore, what I do when they come, I always want to know what triggers them, what is the root cause. And some people, their root cause is very different than the other people. If I can figure it out what's happening, then I address it. For example, some cultures, like, they talk, right? It's natural, they are talking each other, and that's the therapy, right? When I'm growing up, my way of doing, and I we have all the yards, we can run, and we have kids, we don't have any fear. The way my son is growing up, totally different. He needs to create opportunities to interact with other people, right? Therefore, if somebody comes, I talk to them and see what's happening. What is your daily routine? And I always strongly believe that rather than try to, oh, you do this, and this is the plan. I don't work like that. I always strongly believe the collaboration, that is my word, and small steps towards the bigger goal. I ask, what you do to every single day, 15 minutes for yourself to make you happy. People, oh my God, that's a great question. I was always thinking that is what we all should do, at least take 15 minutes for ourselves, do something. Therefore, if you ask, like in therapeutic setting, cognitive behavior therapy, narrative therapy, psychodynamic, all these therapeutic approaches there, I never go in my mindset, okay, I'm going to use this therapeutic method for them, and this is what the steps. I don't do like that. I just analyze them, talk to them. Majority of the time, I give them the opportunity to find their own gaps and how they can enhance it. Some people, I have a pet, I don't have anybody else. All right, how about you walk with your pet every day, few minutes,
Mhm.
make you happier. Some people, I think, don't understand, Dr. P. Some people, their challenge is getting up from the bed and brushing teeth and putting their clothes. Therefore, we are talking about go there and do exercise and eat. Some people, the small tasks are very big problem. As I said, unique individuals, and we have to figure it out, what is your biggest challenge. Then what are the things you see you can do to change the table? Little things. Okay, I cannot get out from the bed. All right, can you fix the alarm? Are you able to do any, if they are students or something? Do you have any buddy system? Do you have a roommate? How about ask your mom to give the second reminder? If they are couples or married people, what are the things you can do little? Therefore, rather than it's be you, and what you can in your capacity. The other question you ask, like anything else contributing, sure. I see nowadays this social media, it's you can use it in a good way as well as the biggest problem, people going to live in the social media world. They think they are the idols. I want to be this. Like, for example, now Thanksgiving, Christmas all coming. Dr. P, if I have $10, I have to budget myself to enjoy myself for $10 rather than all the things going around us. If I try to be that happiness is my happiness, I'm not going to end up being the pure internal happiness. Therefore, again, addressing your question, my point, understand who you are. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the areas I can enhance myself to being happy? I hope I address your question.
Yes, there. One of our audience out there was saying it's so sad that these kids are not interacting and not playing, and they need to interact more. But there was a question that I saw while you were speaking, and the question was, "What kind of platforms are available for this type of treatment?"
It's nowadays actually through the COVID, one thing happened. I worked in the national, international, inpatient, outpatient, you name it. The biggest thing nowadays, people getting even through the insurance or no insurance, some workplaces even providing online therapy. That's the way, like just assume even the children nowadays, it's available. Previously, you have to wait to they go to the school, then after school program there's nothing they can do because parents come home different times zones, right? Now it's widely available online therapy, and therefore I highly encourage, if you don't have time to go in person and see, most majority of the workplaces they give employee assistance programs available. Through that you can get some, financial help. Therefore go there and figure it out. Talk to your HR department what kind of the things available within the organization for me and my family. Go there and search through that. Therefore, it's again online therapeutic approaches are widely, people can easily approach, easily available nowadays.
Yes, and I will, at the end of the show, I will give some numbers that are free that you can call in if you're dealing with depression or you're dealing with mental health, and they can help you as well. But one thing I want to get back to, you mentioned something about the root cause,
Mm-hmm.
and something we've touched on in previous episodes is the importance of family dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in the role of fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
From your experience, how does the presence or the absence of a father figure influences the mental health issues like depression, low self-esteem, or even thoughts of suicide? And what can fathers do positively to impact the children's mental well-being?
Yeah, Dr. P, it's a great question. Thank you. I don't think it's a father or mother. Nowadays, some mothers working as fathers, right? Fathers working as mothers. Some people like both roles. It's not the title you have, it is what is your contribution towards your children's life. What I mean by how you approach, some people available they only provide finance, right? Kids cannot fulfill their love, care, acceptance, belongingness through money. You can buy the things. You see kids nowadays, we say, oh my god, kids addicted to games. Why? Again, go back to the root cause. Is this boredom? They are screaming, yelling for a hug, they cannot get it from the parents. Therefore they are go there and unknown people to talk. And people, kids need interaction. Therefore, the question you ask, like, what can they do as a dad? What the kids need. Sometimes come there, be brutally honest and genuine and say, son, Today I'm really, really tired. It's a hard day at work. And how is your school day? That two words that create a safer, healthy environment for the kid to come back and say, you know, Dad, it was a crazy, crappy day for me. And I got really lower grades in my maths. That conversation, how many times happening within us? Because we are so into getting bigger things and better things. I don't think kids need that.
Mhm.
Kids need sometimes our genuine interaction. For example, some days I really like physically and emotionally tired myself. I say, you know, mommy, can you help me with the project? Warren, my son's name. I say sometimes, give me a few minutes. Mommy is really tired. I need 10 minutes to eat something and then I'll get few minutes rest. I'll come back to you. He has to know we are not machines. We are human beings. We have feelings. What we are teaching them, express your feelings, thoughts. Then they can come back and say, what's going on? There's a saying, if we are not talking to them when they are little, when they grow up, they never come back and tell them.
Yes, yes. I guess, and probably wasn't a fair question to ask you that part in terms of my expertise is fatherhood. And my research shows that the most destructive trend of our society is fatherlessness. It's the root cause of 90% of our societal issues. I don't know, maybe that may not be the issue where you are, but here in the US, moms are doing a lot and fathers have not been engaged as much. And research has showed that, this does lead to abandonment issues and rejection issues,
Mhm.
and it also leads to low self-esteem or low self-worth, or it leads to addiction and drinking and all kind of other things that, if kids had both parents, and I agree with that, they need a mother and a father, but that father is the person who gives that identity, he lays that structure, he's that person, and it really affects the males more than it affects the females. And so I see in the States how this affects them not only in their physical health, but as well as their mental health. And I find that 87% of these men that grew up without fathers are incarcerated as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's thank you so much for that information. Yes. And the other thing I want to just piggyback on it, add to that, the perception and attitude towards the society about our fathers, right? Fatherhood. What is their role? We always say, oh, daddy is working, right? He's the ATM machine. I
Mhm.
think that is the perspective we have to change it. Daddy play a role in your emotional growth. Daddy play a role in their growth. Like my father died when I was 3 years old. My brother was 1 year old. I see huge emotional gap in his life. Today he's in his 40s, and his growth, there's not having a father figure, because in my culture my mom never got married, because due to the cultural things we don't get married after the husband died. Right. And therefore, is there anybody, any uncle, anybody else come to that role and like, hey, this is
Right.
what, your dad is not there, but you should, like, these are the little things. Those things not happening. Therefore, you're right. The mom and dad and different roles, different capacity. But are we leveraging dad's role into our families, right? When you say people are drinking drugs, like dad has the opportunity the same way mom bring it, say, honey, don't do that. There's a reason not to do that. Like, maybe I did it part of my life, drinking, smoking. It is not good. Like, are we having this conversation, or it's the masculinity and the macho-ness? It is not okay. Daddy is this perfect character, not to show that. Therefore, I do not know, Dr. P. The challenge is I think majority of the fathers want to be in their kids' life. I do couples therapy as well. Therefore, I see tears from dads. I want to involve in my kids' life. And there are the lots of the ethical and legal battle going on. But are we giving them the opportunity to emotionally invest, emotionally contribute in our kids' life? I think as parents, as or the mothers, we should think that aspects. As society, we should think that aspect. Not only for the Father's Day, Mother's Day, go there and when they are 60, 70 years old looking for the dad and give that the pizza or the flowers. That is not one time fatherhood, it's lifelong.
That's
I
right.
think that is what my perspective when it comes to father and their roles.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that because you're right. You know, the father's roles has changed throughout the years, and yeah, there has been a time that the father was the breadwinner, and he was the one that paid all the bills, and he was the disciplinary one, and but now they're being more nurturing, they're being more loving. There's being more fathers that are being single fathers and engage in their children's lives. But you know, when they are stripped from their responsibilities or their rights of being with their children, it does lead to depression and it does lead to mental health issues because, as you said, they want to be engaged in their children's lives. And unfortunately, and when we talk about other cultures like Asian cultures and the father, he may put so much pressure on his child and even other cultures, not just Asian cultures, where you know they have a standard and they push those kids to that standard, and because those kids could not meet that expectation, they commit suicide or they
Mhm.
kill themselves. You know, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the thing is, you have a great point, right? Different cultures approach differently. For example, our culture, mother has a role, father has a role. Father is in a higher pedestal. You go to dad for specific reasons. We don't go there. Shh, don't tell anything. Nowadays, the world changing. Kids want to talk about substance abuse issues. Kids want to talk about sex. And shh, don't tell about dad. He's like going to be, you going to be in a big trouble. Then my question, where the hell they have to go there and talk? Maybe we are pushing so hard for them to go to peers. Do peers in the similar capacity, their mindset, their maturity level, in the same level? Some kids, I'm not saying they are mature than their ages, but are we the ones who pushing our kids not to talk with us all the taboo topics?
Hmm. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And kids are like, my culture, I cannot talk about LGBTQ when I'm growing up. That was no goes on. Today, my son is in sixth grade. He has the opportunity to come there and tell, Mommy, do you know this is what it is? And I'm going to decide, me and my husband, and my mom is 84 years old. My mom is, no. I'm like, no, mom. We have to tell based on his age capacity, he can understand. I have to tell him, Warren, love coming in different shape, different size, different capacity. You have to understand. You have to choose. You have a choice. My family, my mom, no, don't tell them. They are going to learn anyway.
that's
Am
right.
I going to have the wall and break him not to talk? And later they go there and do something we going to regret? Or we tell them this is what it is. You make your decision. If you're vulnerable, we are here. This is a safer, healthy environment. And that is why nowadays people has to pay for therapy and people go there. People don't trust each other. Where are the trust?
That's right. That's right.
And they have to come to us and pay to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I'm not saying like we have professional skills, knowledge, but can we have the basic communication in our families, in our extended families, in our societies? That is the piece. Like when I had two miscarriages, Dr. P, my community is not ready to listen to it. I have to go there and do a TED talk saying, all right, this is what it is, raising above my trauma. It's a traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
God's sake, I don't have any other choice. People are saying, oh, you in United States, you have everything in your life, but there's not having a kid. Your life is not fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Not would I have a kid, but what about if I don't have? I'm a human being. I don't have control about it. My
Mm-hmm.
skin color, I was bullied many, many, many times. People call me everyday cat. That's the battery. There's a cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody thought about it? Therefore, my coping skill at that time, I became a national athlete. I started running, and I thought when I'm running, same people who bullied yelling at me, hey, you go, go. I
Mm-hmm.
was always having 4.0 GPA because I thought that is the best. You think that's the good way to cope it? No, but I did not know anything else either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Therefore, today, what I do when people go through empower with coping mechanism, are you able to do journaling? Are you able to talk to somebody? Are you able to listen into some podcast who's motivate? My son was bullied when he was in private Catholic school when he's growing up. He came home, he was age 5, 6. He came home and said, Mommy, I want to cry from my eyes, but I didn't cry. I cried from my heart because my husband's family, everybody 6 footers, and my son was big man. They all said, you look like a grandpa, you walk like a grandpa, you talk like a grandpa. I said, Warren, there are two options. Either whole life hate them, or you go there and empower other people who go through similar capacity. He did when he was 9 years old. He did his first TED talk, and in the
Mm-hmm.
platform, I want to be a grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, grandpa is not something not bad, Warren.
That's right.
Grandpas like accepted worldwide, and they are the very fun, loving, matured people. Why don't you be a grandpa? Let them know it's okay. I love to be a grandpa.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And many of us probably never even lived to be a grandpa. That I mean, it
Yes.
is it's a privilege to be a grandpa.
Correct. And that's what happened. But when I growing up, I didn't have that. I cried. I cried. I cried. I turned my cry and power to education and athletic. Therefore, my point is when people going through these challenges, what are the resources we are providing them to empower them
That's
rather than try to enforce what we have to their lives.
absolutely. You know what I noticed is, and you made a great point because in any relationship, the key is communication, and a lot of us don't have a lot of great communication skills because we're not great listeners, or we haven't been taught how to deal with communicating and how to communicate, how to express yourself. I mean, as kids, sometimes what we were told is, you don't speak unless spoken to. So that took away your voice. That took away your opportunity to be able to articulate how you felt. You weren't supposed to show any feelings. You weren't supposed to show any type of emotions. You couldn't be transparent. You couldn't be vulnerable. And that really affects men as they get older. And then it affects their children because they couldn't effectively communicate. And I always say, miscommunication leads to conflict. And
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have conflict if we can't communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally agree.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Sugi. I understand you're currently involved in several projects. I read your bio, several initiatives, many of which aim to address trauma
Mm-hmm.
and support mental health and mental well being. Could
Mhm.
you share what you're working on right now that addresses these critical issues?
Yes. Trauma is in. I, thank you. That's a great question, too. When it comes to trauma, actually, I experienced something in nationally and internationally level, right? What I mean by when people go through trauma, my country has 30 years of war, and then we have tsunami, and we are victim of many poverty, right? Many things. When I migrated to United States, I see Sandy came through here. Many things happen. Actually, the approach should be, when I am looking back, I volunteered there, and even veteran for foreign wars, like I was there working with the kids. What I see was, be human being. That's the only thing when it comes to trauma. What I try to say is, sometimes only thing what we can do, be there for the human beings. I saw when the Sandy came, people are crying for their animals. I did not know their race, gender, color. I just went there and said, how can I help you? They just sometimes hold my hand and said, I lost my animal. I do not know where they are. Just give my shoulder to cry. When the tsunami happens, still I'm getting goosebumps, and people holding their hands as family. They are going to the flea market. The waves came and whole family gone. Sometimes one kid survived.
Mm,
What we did there, we go there and we said stories and talk to them, ask there. We just sometimes didn't do nothing, hug them, right? People has to understand, when it comes to trauma, sometimes you don't have to say much about it. Be there. People say, I don't know what to say to them.
hmm
You don't have to say nothing.
That's right.
Be
That's
you,
right.
be there, right?
Hmm
Why I am saying, the question you ask, like what I'm doing, like what are the projects I do, as you said, lots of projects. Actually, I now use my son to lots of, like, I want him to understand this concept and things happening, because I can be there, I can do many things, but I want him to understand it. And because they have a future to help lots of people. For example, there's a little church here. I do a mental health programs. When I go there, I tell him, we did a big mental health workshop. My son is the one who did the box breathing.
hmm
They are all Hispanic. They speak Spanish language. We use the translators because we don't. That is the thing we did it. Adjustment process. It's a trauma coming from a different country.
hmm
You don't know the language. You want to adjust your language, your name, every single thing change. For example, for me, my name is Sugandika. My mom put my name with so many meanings. Today I lost it. I'm Sugi. How am I adjusting to it? Therefore, that is one of the project we go to. I did with my son. I did in the school system and go there and talk about it. Then in the churches, the veterans, we are doing programs. And my son, the winner of the fifth National Kindness Speech Contest in United States. He is the first place. He got some money. 2 months he was in Sri Lanka. He did a big project for the rural areas kids who go through due to the poverty. They don't have food. They don't have anything. This one of the kids in one school, they want to do sports, they don't have anything, they have wounds in their legs, not having shoes and anything. Therefore, what my son, my husband, and they were 2 months there, they provided everything. They went to that school and do things. That is traumatic experience. You want to know, if you go there, you'll see that his speech got million views. You want to know what they give as a gift for my son? the fruits from the trees. They cannot give anything else. And they draw some pictures. I said, Warren, do you understand? He can have 12 pencils for $1.
Mm-hmm.
These kids don't have a pencil. They use back of the clip to write the pencil because there's no pencil. That
Mm.
is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
These kids don't know how to enjoy their lives. They don't have much in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, as I said, national level and international. Actually, in the morning today, we went from one of the community churches and we give the food for the people. We do lots of trauma means you don't have to go sexual abuse, sexual trauma. Those are not only the trauma.
That's right.
Adjusting to the environment is a trauma. If
Mm-hmm.
the kid go through financial challenges, the family is fighting day and night, they need the emotional support. That is trauma support system.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, people, society has a big role. I'm not a big person to do. I do what I can do. I go to my community, I do what I can do. Therefore, your question, there are multiple projects we are working as a family, and I'm screaming and asking for everybody, don't wait for the big project to come. Go to your community, do what you can do to your society.
Absolutely, absolutely. I actually go into the prisons every Monday, and I work with the inmates, with the men, and I give them skills that they never had before. And
Awesome.
one of the main conversations that we have is their childhood trauma experiences. And they have had, as you said, it's not so much of just abuse, but like you said, changing from environments, being living in poverty, and tired of living in poverty, and say I'm never going to be poor again, and end up doing something, selling drugs or doing something so that they can help their mom get out of poverty. But when they get arrested for whatever, because it doesn't just stop there. It gets into violence and killings and drug addictions, and all of those leads to trauma. But the most trauma is when they have children and they're locked up, and their children don't understand why dad can't come home or why mom can't come home, and they grow up seeing other kids that have parents, but they don't have parents. I mean, so you're right, trauma comes in different shapes and forms.
Yeah, I truly appreciate your service as well in the system, where nobody wants to go there majority of the times.
And they don't want to pay you to go there either.
No, tell me about it. Let's have a different conversation about it.
Oh my God. So I think many listeners might be interested in practical advice, especially when it comes to managing depression or supporting someone who might be struggling. Could you share any coping strategies or initial steps that people can take, whether they're dealing with depression themselves or they're trying to support a loved one?
Sure. That's an awesome, awesome question. When it comes to depression, what I my very first thing, self-awareness. Aware yourself. Okay, don't tell, oh, that podcaster said this to do, and this person saying this, and majority of the time, you and me know, like evidence based literature comes, some kind of a group of people, they did the research, they recognize this is the best, right? Therefore, my advice, go there and check it out, listen to all these things. What you can do, what is your resources? For me, I'll tell you, sometimes when I get angry, my hands getting cold.
Mhm.
I know when my hands getting cold, okay, Sugi, what's happening? Maybe my mom said something because still she think I'm 8-year-old little girl and still, and she said something. Or some kind of a multiple things I'm juggling with. When that my hand cold is the symptom or the sign, all right, I'm angry. Then I'll look back and say, why I get angry? Okay, this is what. Am I going to respond now emotionally, or am I going to take few minutes? Sometimes I have a long hair and I do something like that to figure it out. Okay, what is happening here? And sometimes I tap into my body, like, what happened?
Mhm.
Because you know, Dr. P, emotions like this, right? I maybe want to say something like, really damn this moment, and then later you regret about it, right?
Mhm.
Depression comes like you feel sad and sad sometimes, right? Sometimes it's a frustration,
Mhm.
right? And therefore, what are the signs? Okay, normally I'm that person. By 5 o'clock, I watch my favorite movie, have my dinner, and go to bed 8 o'clock. Now, go to bed 8 o'clock, but containing my the retaining in my sleep is a problem. I
Mhm.
cannot sleep. I cannot sleep. Ruminating thoughts come to me.
Mhm.
Then I know last 3 days I didn't have a good sleep, and I'm waking up cranky. Every single thing is I cannot have my coffee or tea or whatever. I'm not in my same capacity. Recognizing myself. All right, this is happening. Can I change something? Maybe I have to fix the alarm. Is that something happening in my workplace or my relationship? Or if it is continuously going, I will reach out to professional help.
Mhm.
If you feel something I can recognize, maybe I have argument with my partner and I don't want to tell him, therefore I'm holding up, I'm up to here. I'm saying I'm okay, I'm not true to myself. That bothers me. Then you have to figure it out a healthy way to communicate it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Some people, they have pets, as I said. Some people do journaling. Some people talk to their friends, and some people walk outside. Some people do exercise, and some people do their, they have a good grandparents, like, they can talk to. Some people have good friends they can talk to. If you don't have anybody, that's where you want to, I maybe need some support system here.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, you ask the second part of it, somebody go through depression, what can I do?
Mhm.
Recognizing it. Maybe sometimes when you inside the box, you don't see it. Crying is fine. I cry. I go to my shower and I'm being my American Idol. Sometimes do my songs, and that's my coping mechanism. Some days I cry. It's
Mhm.
okay, but every single day I cry. You see somebody, their behavior, it's how it's impacting into their functionality.
Mm.
Can I? There are some people, functional depression.
That's
That's
right.
different.
That's
Okay,
right.
some people know how to mask it. That's where we see some big characters. Nobody said they are the most happiest people in the world, because surface level, if you go deep down, am I happy? What is my internal happiness? What am I going to do to make me happy? I always tell my patients, clients, whatever nowadays they call it, take 15 minutes every single day. Do something to make you happy. It may be go to the Dunkin' Donut and having your latte. I don't give a damn about it.
Mhm.
That makes you happy. You don't have a sugar problem. Have it and come back. It's okay.
Mhm.
15 minutes. I have here little couch kind of. I put when I have I do 45-minute session, 15 minutes. I sit down there and sometimes process myself. Some days I sleep 6:45 to 7 o'clock, extra 15 minutes, sit there. I listen to, when I work in the New York City, I put my cultural music and I walk with that music because that's so close to me. Therefore, you have to understand. I cannot tell, okay, if you feel unhappy, do X, Y, and Z, then you're going to be okay. There's no pill made out of saying happy pill. Happy pill is you recognizing you, what makes you happy. You empty your cup, empty your cup, empty your cup. You think other people come and fill it? Sorry, sometimes there's no people to fill your cup.
Hmm.
You have to be you and fill your cup. Therefore, other people help in the same. You can take the hose to the water. We cannot make them drink. You can say, hey, I feel that last few days you did not eat. I see you are not changing your clothes. Are you okay? Bring
Hmm.
it to their attention.
Hmm.
You need any help? If you see it's continuously, go wellness check if they want it or not. We care for them. They may be hate the moment we make the call, but it's their own benefits. Therefore, you have to recognize what point you need a professional help, where I can look back, understand, and be the change. Makes sense, Dr. P?
Absolutely, absolutely, and the emotional piece is a major piece. I teach a class on men and emotions because men have cut their emotions off, and
Mm-hmm,
men don't understand. Well, humans don't understand that
mm-hmm,
emotions are temporarily, you know.
mm-hmm,
But a lot of times, because we worry about stuff that may never happen, or we get stressed out about things that could happen, or we have so much stress, like you said, that we can't sleep, and so we
mm-hmm,
just lay there. But because our mind is racing and we don't know how to control it, I love the fact that you talked about the journaling, because
mm-hmm,
when my son was going through, my son is a musician, and when he was going through a difficult time in his life, and he was doing his songs, he was just doing his songs without writing them down. I said, why
mm-hmm,
don't you write them down? And don't
mm-hmm,
just write the words, write what you're struggling with.
mm-hmm,
Write your uh write what you feel, write your experiences, write
mm-hmm.
the things that make you feel the way you feel. I said, because that's what songs are. Songs are stories, and other people can relate to those stories. And you're helping someone go through the same thing you're going through. So, thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, one of the guests was talking about, you were talking about these disasters in your country, and one asked if we could just take a moment of silence for those who's passed. Is that okay?
Sure, of course. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we'll just take a little moment and pray however you want to pray, and just have some silence for those families that's lost loved ones, and those that are still trying to cope with the loss and the pain. All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, look into the future, Dr. Sugi. What do you hope to see in terms of mental health awareness and support systems? And are there any big projects or goals you're working towards that you're excited to share with us?
Sure. Thank you. Yes. Actually, I work for the corporate America, Fortune 25 healthcare, and I gave up 1 year, 1.5 years back. And I'm not a billion-dollar woman, but I thought that I have the opportunity to work with the money. Sure, we all need money, but at the same time, what I can do differently. Actually, let's start with this conversation about the mental health. I realized that when I'm getting that big amount of money, I miss my kids' life. I was sitting there 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, to the point I felt like I'm not enjoying my life. At the same time, we all have obligations. Therefore, I drag myself to the point I was like, I don't want to do that anymore, and I have to recognize what is my call in my life. And that's where I started working with the the therapy field again, and public speaking, motivational speaking. And that was really aligns with when you ask like what is your future goals. My future goal is there's nothing major, but creating awareness, and not only in United States, and go there and do wherever I can do. Right, I do my country sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning because there's 12 hours difference. I do workshops in my country language, and like do some. I have a YouTube channel I started about the mental health, because in my country talking about is a taboo, right? And there are lots of little groups. I do like sometimes I wake up early in the morning, 5 minutes something, and creating awareness. Facebook book, I think I have 17,000 people. They are paying for my post. And therefore, thank you, Facebook, as well. And I do little things like that, like in the YouTube. And I go to the my community, do as much as you said, like, volunteer service, lots of, I don't care they pay me or not, right?
Mhm.
And not only myself, I take my son, my husband, we all as a family go there and do it. My big project, like recently I started even the rural areas in Sri Lanka and giving mental health like little speeches. I tell Warren, you tell your story, empower at least one person, and like we can empower, that's okay. And my big project is I do lots of different things, and in my capacity, do what I can do.
Mhm.
And that's it. I'm telling every single individual has that power, Dr. P.
Mhm.
We waiting for the big things to happen. Don't
Mhm.
wait the big things to happen. I'm a like small creature, and like when I started this journey, my second language is English. You tell me how many hoops I have to go through. I,
Yes,
I did not care about it. Today, and people inviting me, I never thought, like when I first time went to the TED stage, I was like, you tell me, I was fearful and all. I did not give up because my intention, I want people to hear my story.
that's right.
I dragged from there as a migrant. Do not give up. Do not give up. If I can get 4.0 GPA, you can do it.
That's right.
And do not give up your education. And thinking, my mom did not speak English. She passed the citizenship test. And in age 80s, like, at that time, now she was not 80, 70 something. She went there and she learned English in the library. Like, everybody has a story. Like Michelle Obama says, like, your story is yours. Write the next page the best possible way. That's my
Absolutely.
message.
Absolutely. Well, before we got about 7 minutes. So before we
Sure.
close, I want to share some essential resources for anyone who might be struggling or know someone who is. Remember, mental health struggles are incredible, but they're common. And reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not a weakness. It's okay to feel the way you do, and there is no shame in seeking support. And so I wanted to just give some information. I wrote down some information so that those that are looking for help. The first one is for immediate help with suicidal thoughts. You can call or you can text just 988, and that's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. It's free. You don't have to, it doesn't cost you anything. It's a confidential support. And it can, if you're needing to someone, as Dr. Sugi said, and you're alone and you need to talk to someone, this is a number that you can text on your phone, 988.
Mhm.
Another one is for mental health and substance use issues, and it's spelled out SAMHSA, and that is a national health
Samsa. Mhm. Mm-hmm.
and it's 1-800-662-HELP. Or you can use 1-800-662-4357. And we're going to post this on this show so that when this show goes live, you'll see these numbers that you can call. It's 1-800-662-4357, and it offers guidance and resources. You can also text HOME, HOME, to 741-741, and that is to connect with the counselor via the crisis text line. Veterans, if you're a veteran and you need to reach out, you can reach out on the crisis line and call 988 and then press the number 1, or texting 838-255. And the last one is NAMI helpline,
Mm-hmm.
and that's 1-800-950-NAMI, 950-NAMI. Again, 1-800-950-NAMI, or 6264, 1-800-950-6284. And they're providing information and support for those navigating mental health concerns. Remember, again, you're not alone, and help is available
Mm-hmm.
24/7 for you. So don't think,
Dr. P.
yes,
I send an email to you with many more resources like suicide crisis line, national domestic violence hotline, crisis chat, self harm hotline, essential local and service, parenthood hotline, and crisis line, LGBTQ line, AIDS crisis, veteran, everything together. I send you an email.
okay.
Maybe you can copy paste that as well when you're sharing with the
I will. I
community.
will. We'll
Sure.
make sure. So we have a ton of resources. Don't
Yes.
think that you have to have money to get help. These
Yeah.
services are available for you for free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
before we go, just want to say, if you're struggling right now, know that you are stronger than you feel in this moment. I believe
Yes.
God has a purpose for each of us, and your story is far from over. Hold on, reach out, and remember you're worthy of love, healing, and hope. Dr.
Thank
Sugi,
you.
it's
Thank
been
you.
an absolute honor having you on the Blue Sky Show. Your dedication to mental health and your insights on depression and suicide prevention are invaluable,
Thank you.
especially during these times. So I want to thank you so much for sharing with us your heart and the work that you do.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. P. Truly, truly appreciate your great, great service and your knowledge and your humbleness here. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're going to do another show, I promise
Sure.
you.
I promise you, I want to talk offline as well, your services and all the great work you do.
Absolutely. And
Sure.
thank you to all the
Sure.
listeners for joining us today. We thank you at Love Bay Radio. We thank you for the Blue Sky Show. We thank you for folks that's all across the country for tuning in. Remember, support is available and you're not alone. God is with you every moment, offering strength and comfort. Lean on Him and know that there are people ready to help you too. We'll be back soon with another important conversation. But for now, until then, stay safe, stay connected, and take care of each other. Go with God as God goes with you. God bless
Sure.
you.
God bless you. Take care, Dr.